Today we read more of Aesop's Fables. The Miser. Once upon a time, there was a miser who sold all his possessions and with the money bought a great lump of gold. He dug a deep hole at the end of the garden and there he buried his gold. Once a day thereafter, the miser went down to the garden, dug up his gold, and fondled it lovingly. One of the miser's workmen wondered why his master spent so much time in the garden. One day he hid behind a tree and soon discovered the secret of the hidden treasure. That night, when the miser was fast asleep, the workman crept into the garden and stole the lump of gold. When the miser found that his gold was gone, he tore his hair and cried aloud in despair. A neighbor came running to see what was the matter, and the grief-stricken miser told her what happened. Then the neighbor said, "Pray, stop your weeping. Go and find a stone. Place the stone in the hole and imagine it is your lump of gold. The stone will serve your purpose, for you never meant to use the gold anyway. To a miser, what he has is of no more than what he has not." The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was awakened from the sleep by a mouse running across his face. With a terrible roar, the lion seized the mouse with his paw and was about to kill him. "Oh, please," the mouse begged, "spare my life. I will be sure to repay your kindness." The king of the beasts was so amused at the thought of a mouse being able to help him that he let the frightened creature go. Shortly afterward, the lion fell into a trap set by some hunters and was hopelessly caught in strong ropes. In his misery, the lion roared so loudly that all the beasts in the forest could hear him. The mouse recognized the roar of his former captor and ran to the place where the lion lay trapped. At once the mouse began to gnaw the ropes with his teeth. He began to gnaw after the rope until at last the lion was free. "Thank you," said the grateful lion. "I now know that in time of need the weak may help the strong." The Horse and the Groom. There once was a groom who used to brush his horse with the greatest of care and comb his mane for hours on end. Yet, at the same time, the groom stole the horse's corn and sold it in the village for his own profit. One day, the horse said to the groom, "If you really wish me to look my best, groom me less and feed me more. Though you brush my coat, you steal my food, and he who steals with a smile is none the less a scoundrel." The Miller, his son, and their donkey. One day, a miller and his son were taking their donkey to a neighboring fair to sell him. They had not gone far when they met some girls on the road, talking and laughing. "Look there!" cried one of the girls, pointing at them. "What fools you are to be trudging along this hot road while you keep riding." So the miller set his son upon the donkey and walked along by his side. Presently they came up to an old group of men who were engaged in serious conversation. One of the men looked up and said, "See that? It just proves what I'm saying. No one has any respect for old age anymore. Imagine that lazy boy riding while his poor old father works. Get down, you lazy loafer, and let the man rest his weary legs." Hearing this, the miller made his son dismount and got up on the donkey's back himself. Thus they continued along their way, the son walking and the old miller riding, until they met a group of women and children. "Why, horrid old man," one of the women cried, "how can you ride upon that donkey while that poor little lad can hardly keep up with you?" The miller thought this, and then picked up his son and placed the boy behind him on the donkey's back. The miller and his son were riding in town when a passing villager called out, "For shame! Surely that donkey is not your own." The miller assured him that it was. "I never would have thought, by the way, that poor beast is loaded. Why, you two fellows do not look sick to me. Surely you are better able to carry that donkey than the donkey is able to carry both of you." So the miller and his son dismounted. They tied the donkey's legs together with some cord and strung him over a pole. With the pole across their shoulders, they walked over a bridge that led into town. That would be quite heavy. carried by a little kid. The townsfolk had never seen such a sight, and they laughed loudly. The noise so frightened the poor animal they began to wiggle and kick. The cords that bound him snapped, and the donkey tumbled from the pole into the river. Sadly, the old miller and his son walked all the way home thinking, when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. The ox and the driver. A team of oxen dragged a heavy wagon across the dusty country road. Each time the wooden wheels of the wagon turned on the axles, they groaned and creaked. At last the driver cried out in exasperation, "Wagon, why do you make so much noise? It is the oxen who are drawing all the way, and yet they are silent." The oxen plodded on, heard him. One turned to the other and said, "Her master's right. Those who suffer the least often cry the loudest." The wizard. A wizard was well known for telling the fortunes of those who passed in the marketplace. One afternoon, a man ran up to him in great haste and cried, "Wizard, a thief has broken into your home. At this moment, all your possessions are being stolen. Make haste." The wizard jumped in alarm and hurried from the marketplace. A townsman saw him running and cried out, "Wizard, you foretell the fortunes of others. Pray, how is it you do not foresee this misfortune of your own?" The wizard called back as he ran on, "It is far easier to be wise for others than for ourselves." The mischievous dog. There once was a dog so ill-behaved and mischievous that he used to creep on the townsfolk and butt them before they knew what they were happening. Much angered, his master hung a bell around his neck to warn people of the dog's presence. At first, the dog was irked by the noise of the bell. Then he grew proud of it, and after a while he paraded around the marketplace showing it off. Finally, an old hound said to him, "Why do you make such a show of yourself? You act as if the bell around your neck were an honor. Don't you realize it is a disgrace, a sign to all men to avoid you? You don't seem to know the difference, so let me tell you that to be widely known is not necessarily to be admired." The old woman and the physician. An old woman who had lost the use of her eyes called in a physician. "Cure me of my blindness," the old woman said, "and I will pay you well. But if I remain blind, I will pay you nothing. Do you agree?" The physician consented to the bargain. He came to her house each week and applied some worthless salve to her eyes. But each time he quietly carried a piece of furniture away from him. This went on until he had stolen all of her possessions. Then the physician gave her a salve that cured her, and the old woman could see again. Now that she had recovered her sight, she saw that her house was bare, and therefore she could pay him nothing. The physician insisted that she pay him, but the old woman refused. At last the physician took her to court. The old woman stood before the judge and said, "This man speaks the truth. I did agree to pay him if I recovered my sight. He agreed that I pay him nothing if I remain blind. Now he says I am healed. I say I am still blind, for when I lost the use of my eyes, my house is filled with fine treasures and goods. Yet now I am able to see any of it." The judge settled the case in favor of the old woman, saying, "Those who are so ready to take what is not their own must be prepared to lose what is theirs." The Playful Donkey. A monkey climbed up the roof of a building and jumped and danced about. The owner of the building laughed and praised his amusing performance. The next day, a donkey climbed to the roof, and while he was dancing about, he broke a large part of the roof. The owner of the building went up after him, quickly drove him down with a thick wooden club. "Why do you beat me so severely?" the donkey groaned. "Why, the monkey did the very same thing, and all you did was laugh." "That is quite true," the owner said, "but you must realize what is right for one may not be right for another." And that's all I'm going to read today. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you again.